someone left an interesting comment on one of my posts, and they said, I don't hate men, but I love my single life. And to most people, it's an innocent comment. It doesn't mean anything, but words mean things to most of the time. And in my experience, I have people comment things like, I agree with you saying, I'm not a feminist, but I agree with what you're saying, or I don't hate men, but I love my single life, or not all men, but I agree with what all what everything you're saying. And it's just so interesting that anytime we're talking about loving our single life or women's rights, anything having to deal with women not being treated well, we always have to add this disclaimer that we don't hate men, it's not all men, and we're not a feminist, which just shows an even bigger problem that says the messaging is advocating for women means you hate men. Enjoying your single life automatically means that you hate men, which is not true. And feminism is not about hating men. Now, when men go on their podcasts and they say things about women, they never say, I don't hate women, but they never say, not all women. They never say, I'm not an incel, but they just say what they have to say. They just blanket statement every woman into one category. But yet, time and time again, we as women are always having to make sure we don't hate you, though. And you can't possibly enjoy being single unless that means you hate men. Like, the amount of people who assume that I am a lesbian, nothing wrong with that, but the amount of people who assume that I am because of my content is very interesting. I hold my kids accountable to doing their chores, to being kind people. Does that mean that I hate them? You have expectations of your partner. Does that mean that you hate them? Holding someone accountable doesn't necessarily mean that you hate them. In fact, it means quite the opposite, because you're taking the time to call out something and to bring it to their attention in hopes that they will improve that behavior. Advocating for women to be treated well doesn't mean that you hate men. It's not saying I want women to be treated well and I don't want men to be treated well. It doesn't mean that at all. But it's very interesting how patriarchy has it set up to where if a woman is confident, if she enjoys her singleness, if she advocates for herself, if she advocates for women in general, it's because she hates men. Interesting.